in the top position of Lightshade to start things off, representing Alpha X, he is Zoun. And his opponent down here, he may be teamless, but he's also fearless. It is BYUN. So this is going to be an epic matchup here. These two have played before quite recently, actually. You know, they've been battling it out not only in these show match situations, but they went up against each other in the Republic of Gamers tournament. They fight in King of Battles and such, and there's a lot of different results that we've seen from that. It's not even really old world versus the new, because Zoun has been around almost for as long as BYUN, I believe, just because he was playing for SK Telecom back in the day, and so he's definitely not new blood, but right now he is actually the youngest player to be playing in the GSL right now, so that is quite an accomplishment of his own. And right now he's already giving BYUN a run for his money, getting that SCV nice and low before kind of just getting on out of there. So he's doing a very good job of being annoying early on. Now BYUN, obviously, this guy speaks for himself. He's a very aggressive Terran player. He's in your face, and he can really hit those timings where, say, a Protoss player won't be able to really react that well. And I mean, this year has been very painful for Korean Protoss players, just because they haven't really been getting those results that they've kind of expected. And they've kind of been falling off a little bit there, save for maybe Trap and Zoun really getting those good results in recent tournaments. But yeah, I mean, this is going to be good, because Zoun, he's one of those players who's known he has some pretty good cheeses, but he's also a very solid macro player. And that's kind of his forte here. He said in an interview recently with Liquipedia that in order to make these good play styles, you have to have good macro to back them up. So that's kind of his forte. And I mean, you guys know BYUN. He really goes hard in those early to mid-game situations, very dedicated pushes. It's not uncommon to see just a huge parade push of whatever color he is, moving across the map and getting a good defensive, getting a good aggressive position. Sometimes that does come back to bite him in the butt. Like, sometimes he does accidentally kind of try and push himself out of the late game, but I mean, most of the time it is enough to kill his opponent. So that's why this one is going to be very fun. Two differing styles. Hello, Zalgern, SC2, how are you? Glad to see you here. Now, getting back into this game in particular, we do have that blink coming on in. That is a very good kind of defensive build as well. You can be aggressive with it, and honestly, in this situation, that would be pretty nice, just because we don't really see any splash coming out of BYUN right now. He did get some Cyclones, so potentially assuming that Stargate play on this map. That's kind of what his build is telling me right now. Just kind of playing it a bit safe against something that he probably expected, but I mean, he's still in a decent macro position here with the two racks. He's getting stim all the way up. Should be starting medevac production pretty soon here, so he's going to be going for kind of a modified 2-1-1, it looks like. I might even add in the Cyclone for a little bit of extra DPS, as Zoun going to be going up straight to that third base nice and early to get that economic advantage over him. Yeah, I don't really see Zoun being too committed to this. We don't see any sort of Warp Prism play. We don't see any high ground vision. So this is pretty much just to get a couple of pokes, see what he's working against here with BYUN. Maybe get a couple of SCV pickoffs there. That's pretty nice. Nice damage to start things off. I think those are actually the first couple of kills here, other than that Reaper. But yeah, I mean, from here we pretty much just see that power-up situation from both of these guys. Yeah, obviously he's sending the Cyclone in, trying to get a little bit of work done. Doesn't really get that, but he's got the double medevac, and the Stalkers are a little bit out of position close to the third base, so they are going to have to see this coming if they want to get into position, because there is stim, there is combat shields on the way as well, +1, about halfway complete. This is a pretty nice drop timing for BYUN. And yeah, the Stalker's only just now getting in position, but now he can kind of focus fire those down. Good blink micro, going to save a good chunk of them. Only a handful get the blink, so both of those medevacs will survive, but that is not going back in. And I mean, from here, we do see that kind of push coming out of BYUN. He really didn't get that much damage done with his first harassment, so what does he do? He just picks it up, brings it to his next big attack. And this one's going to be a lot more committed. I'm kind of worried for Zoun here with this, because there's not really that much, not really that much firepower with this army. Only one immortal. Yeah, this is actually a pretty nice position here. BYUN able to just stim up the ramp, so no force fields for you. I mean, already getting some good connections. On top of those Zealots, they do have charge, so they can do what they can. But the War Prism actually getting taken down here. Zoun in a little bit of trouble. He's got a good concave to try and get mitigate some of that damage, but I mean, BYUN playing this out very, very well. Going to get some good connections. And although he will get cleaned up here, he's going to give as much as he takes. And actually, if he can get that immortal, I think he can. I think he can get a lot more done, as that shield batter is going to be running out of energy here pretty soon, and it's already been overcharged. Yeah, the fight will continue. He gets the War Prism, so no more micro potential for him. Little bit of lag. I hope the players didn't feel that. The Vikings, a couple of Vikings come out of nowhere. And I mean, this is kind of what I was talking about with BYUN. Take a look at this. He's got the reinforcements already segueing across the map, and he does turn around to kind of bunch them up a bit more so that they're not taken down. Oh. Yeah, sorry about that. I don't know why that got hit. Yeah, I think BYUN is just going to really kind of hammer home this position with these pushes, because Zoun doesn't really have a huge army to deal with this. Now, if Zoun can keep BYUN back, he's going to be in a much better position, because I mean, BYUN only just now getting that third base underway. So it's all about timing here from BYUN. Can he get enough damage done to really drive this point home? And I mean, Zoun once again a little bit out of position, so those siege checks are going to be able to siege up. They'll start to get those connections off, and I mean, he's trying to lift up the immortal to get on top of this, but he's just not really able to ever find the position. So this third base will go down. I mean, there's just no saving it. Luckily, he does have that fourth base finishing up. Oh, that's a bit of a mistake. A lot of those SCVs were not mining. Liberators did unsiege for a bit. The Stalker's going to try and get underneath them, but they are fighting under full firepower. Zealots starting to clean things up, but at what cost, really? No Stalkers left, so he can just pick up... Oh, never mind. There are the Stalkers. Okay, now things are looking a bit better for Zoun right now. As he cleans up the Liberators, BYUN will have to back up, but I mean, he's already gotten the damage done that he needs to kind of justify that attack, and he does have enough back at home to kind of push this back. Zoun not having enough to really close things out right now. Oh, this would be nasty if we could force field this location, just get rid of a bunch of these forces. SCVs are pulled as well to help mitigate the damage done. The Immortal's starting to go down. The Zealot flank going to help out quite a bit. 20 workers going down. And I think BYUN, he will hold, but I don't even know. I don't even know if Mules can save him right now. This game is just really back and forth. Yeah, he's really going to have to rely on these Mules to get him back into it here. If we take a look at that income, just skyrocketing in Zoun's favor. Look at that, four bases up and mining. BYUN does have a scary army with this, plus those upgrades, but I mean, Zoun already going for +3 off the back of this. So those units are just going to be absolutely cakewalking through. I mean, this is kind of the point I was trying to make here. BYUN has sacrificed the later stages of the game quite a bit, as he's only just now starting to get those +2 upgrades. And even then, it's only that engineering bay. At this point, he really can't afford too much else. Now Zoun, I think he's just going to try and keep pushing this point home, but he's got to be careful not to lose the Stalkers in the back. A couple of good EMPs will help out as well as those Immortals. Now a lot squishier. Yeah, Zoun just trying to push the issue, but that was a pretty hefty investment for him to not really get too much out of. And BYUN's just going to keep this push going across the map. So now it really is BYUN kind of playing catch up here, even just going to go into drilling claws with Widow Mines behind this to help deal with it. Still no fourth base on the way for him, so he's just falling behind in every single aspect of this game. Yeah, I mean, I do like how he is still trying to be a little bit aggressive out on the map. Like, he's not trying to take these engagements. He's trying to hit where the army is not, so that he can kind of get that damage done and get back into it. You know, now he does find the army. There's a lot of EMP energy with this, and not really a transition from Zoun either. I've got to say, Robo Facility is only just about to finish up at 14 minutes into the game. It seems like time has flown by with this one. Like, usually when you see a PPT, sometimes it just kind of feels like the game drags on and on because you don't really have a lot of action going on. But here, even though there hasn't really been a lot of huge big fights, I lost my train of thought watching that War Prism die, but yeah, there hasn't been a ton of huge fights, but at the same time, it's just been action-packed positioning around for both sides, looking for the optimal angle to go in. And I mean, BYUN's looking for it right here. That was a very early pop on that shield battery. BYUN going to position himself so that he can retreat if things get too dicey. Good EMP is going to surround the Zealots and the Immortals as well. And I think that BYUN's starting to push his way in here, but a couple of extra Zealot Warpins are going to force him back. Just for a little bit though. It's pretty much just buying time here for Zoun. And I guess BYUN's going to give it to him as he's going to take some time and just clear up that walk wall for another path to rotate around into. Oh my goodness, the SCVs have been pulled. So just get those in the front and go. I think that's really what he can hope for here. The Disruptor not going to get a shot off. 2 more are in the production tab, but they're not going to be in time for this fight. The Immortals in the front starting to get really low red health. And yeah, that's a ton of units here for BYUN. Looks like we get one huge Disruptor shot right there. The SCVs are starting to fall in the back. And I mean, BYUN's still going to give more than he can take in this situation. He gets rid of a good chunk of those heavy damage dealers, but I mean, is it enough to clean up this location? There we go, the last Immortal falls. This Disruptor is on cooldown still. I don't know if he has a shield battery overcharge available to him. Looks like he doesn't at the moment. So idealistically, Zoun just needs to hold on for a little bit longer in order to kind of make this work. BYUN's still falling behind in terms of supply, but that army count is still relatively scary in his favor. I don't know. This could still go either way here. BYUN's pretty much all in off this 3 base. I mean, there's literally nothing that he can really do. You already pulled the SCVs. Every single fight that you take, you're not really going to be able to recover from, so you need to take the best engagement that you can. Shield battery overcharge, once again, a little bit premature as BYUN not really fighting within range of it. Zealots in the front start to get cleaned up, and it's those juicy Stalkers in the back that are his big target. Huge EMP going down as well, so those sentries are absolutely useless. And now BYUN with that focus fire on the Disruptor, making sure he does not lose that. He will be able to take down the 4th base, and I think Zoun are really struggling to hold on anymore. Although he does just have another base already ready. BYUN up 126 to 72. And although the Templar Archives has complete, there's only 1 Archon with this. I mean, that is absolutely melting like fondue. Rest of the units start to fall. BYUN just going straight for it. Even with the battery overcharge, that Colossus not going to be too long for this world. And GG is called. What an absolute nail-biter of a series. It was kind of back and forth there for a little bit. Both sides really taking a lot of damage early on. And, I mean, you usually don't see that... you usually don't see that kind of thing. Oh. What happened here? Oh, looks like the players disappeared. One moment, guys. But yeah, really good game to start things off. Yeah, so it looks like we're going to be dealing with a couple of technical difficulties here. But we are back. We are back in game. Let's get these players in. Oh, looks like we got the wrong server. Yeah, that seems to be the problem. All right. So we're going to be hopping into game number 2. Sorry, just a small issue with the server. For some reason, it put me back to best match, so that puts me onto Taiwan, so we just had to rehost there. No big deal. It's just BattleNet's been a little bit recently. But yeah, we are hopping straight into game number 2 now. Spawning up here in the top position of Death Aura, he is BYUN. And his opponent down here in the bottom, he is Zoun. All right, so after that first game here, we've got to wonder what's going to be going on in Zoun's mind. Obviously, both sides really didn't have that transition stated for later stages of the game. We saw a very late go into the Robo Bay, the Templar Archive. It didn't really come out until the very last minutes of that game, so he wasn't able to hold on versus BYUN, even though BYUN just really didn't have that much. Late Ghost Academy. I don't even think he had the enhanced shockwaves upgrade for them either. So just neither side was ready to play that longer late game. Yeah, we'll have to see how things are going to be changed up once again. Zoun going to be going for that Cybernetics core before the Nexus, and that's not a huge deal, but it does kind of allow you to get your tech out a little bit quicker. It's all kind of just these little seconds worth of timing in the early game to try and try and get ahead in the mid game. Now, this probe is kind of going on a funky path right now. From the looks of it, I don't think it would be Stargate, because why would you put Stargate all the way back there? But I digress. We'll have to keep an eye on that location on the map. See what he does with that. The Reaper going to try and get in here, but the Adept is enough to kind of shade that away. Now, I'm curious to see what he's throwing down behind this. Maybe Stargate? Nope. Looks like Twilight Council once again. And, you know, this doesn't necessarily have to be an aggressive build. Just the fact that he has it means that he's going to be pretty safe if BYUN does decide to go for, say, Hellions, Widow Mines, stuff like that. Because it will allow you to get those Stalkers up and in the proper position. But yeah, behind this though, he will have that Robo facility nice and early. So let's keep an eye on how aggressive he's going to be with it. And the answer is this is a very committed build here right now. DT Shrine. Zoun going to be showing off some of his crisp, clean cheddar, and I'm thinking it's going to smell pretty Gouda in here in just a few minutes. BYUN, on the other hand, is going for a pretty standard build here. And you know what? I don't think we're going to be seeing too much out of the ordinary from these guys. I know that it's a bit of a longer series, so they're going to have to pull out a bunch of different builds, but at the same time, they're going to want to hide some of the good stuff because there is a good potential that they will be playing against each other as early as tomorrow in the close qualifiers for the last chance DreamHack event. Because both of them have qualified at this point. Zoun took down BYUN, and I'd have to see who BYUN beats in order to make that happen. But here we go. The Widowmines do try and get on down. Only one of them will fall. And Zoun is paying close attention to him right now. You know what would be pretty funny to see? I would love to see him just kind of stick one of those Widowmines right here and then put another one right here to kind of force him into this location. But you know what? Right now we do have a DT already in the natural. That's going to get taken down with 2 workers to its name. BYUN does have enough scans to kind of stop this, but I mean, on the other side of things, he's kind of just flying around with these medevacs, so his attention not completely on his main base, and he's actually just barely out of scans. Looks like a couple more Widowmine shots went off there. Alright, so now obviously Zoun did expend quite a bit to get that. And now he's got to play a little bit of catch-up here. As we see, he's going to be throwing down the additional gateways, just trying to make sure that he can get out a solid army in case BYUN decides to move across the map, which, by the way, it looks like is exactly what's going to be happening here. Very committed push coming out of BYUN. If this doesn't work, I'm really going to be scared for his position in this game. Now, again, this is a little bit risky here because Zoun is going to be breaking off a couple of Stalkers just to pick off any sort of reinforcements coming across the map. We will have a couple of Archons as well for the defense, but there's just not that much at home for Zoun right now, and this has the potential to kind of hurt quite a bit. Stalker's going to be coming in. They don't have, or they do have Blink. So going to get a couple of SUVs and get out of there, but he did lose his 3rd Nexus because of that. And BYUN, I mean, we still don't see a 3rd base out of him. Just now throwing it down. He's going to jump right on top of this as soon as charge completes, and he will be able to clean this up. But now it's 2 bases versus 2 bases. So both sides kind of hit a reset button, almost. Now BYUN going to be forced back into his main base. He only has really a bit of bio. Widowmine's going to take down one of those Archons, though. That is a pretty big pickup here, as that's a lot of the splash damage for Zoun. Huge Warping of Zealots going to keep this push going for as long as possible. I would love to see Zoun kind of just pick up and go to the main base to try and get a little bit more damage done. On the other side of the map, we do see a couple of workers going down to that Raven, but the big fight is here. SCVs are pulled, and they will fall to the Archon splash, but they do buy a bit of time for the bio in the back to get some more work done. The question is it going to be enough here as Zoun has committed almost everything, and BYUN just going to tank his way forward, takes down the War Prism, and although he's lost 29 workers, he has the mules to kind of make up for it a bit, and it looks like he's just going to say, to heck with it, I'm going to try and kill you now. You don't have anything. You spent too much on that attack. He did lose the Raven, however. Alright, so here we go. The big push of BYUN right now. Currently up over double the army supply. The Widowmines as well going to get some massive connections, taking down those Zealots. And I think BYUN has more than enough to kind of push his way through, as there will be no more Immortals to help out with this army. All he needs is a couple of scans banked up to deal with the DTs trickling in. He's going to get right on top of the Immortals and does what BYUN does best, just pick off absolutely everything. GG is called, and BYUN extends his lead to 2-0. Now, that does not mean that Zoun is out by any stretch of the imagination. This is a long series, remember. So he still has quite a few opportunities to get back into it. So he's going to need your energy. Like that's just the crux of it. You need to send your energy straight to him. And let us get these players into the lobby. Little bit slow. But yeah, we're going to be going into Submarine for map number 3. I love how eager these players are. I don't even have time to say players ready. Yeah, it was only about 10 minutes, 30 seconds that last game. But you know what? Let's let these players talk more. If a tree falls in the forest, it makes this guy down here. He is Alpha X's Zoun. And his opponent up here in the top, he is stained red from the blood of Protoss. It is BYUN. Now, again, the big question is, will Zoun be a little bit more aggressive to kind of try to win these games a little bit quicker here, because he's been struggling with that transition to try and catch BYUN off guard. He did try a very committed DT position in the last game and just really fell behind because BYUN didn't take that much damage from it. So the question is, what is he going to be pulling out in this game? I think he's really the player to watch here, because BYUN, once he has a winning kind of move, he likes to stick with it, you know? He doesn't really like to deviate from a winning game plan right now. So yeah, right now it looks like a little bit of more of the same. Nothing too crazy going on. Remember, this is a bit of a shorter map. So the potential for pushes is just absolutely insane. You do have some pretty good siege tank positioning, I'd say, down here on this ramp to the natural, and especially down here in the third base as well. Looks like Zoun's going to play it very safe and just kind of scout around for any sort of proxy locations. Might throw down one of his own as well. Depth just trying to be a little bit of a nuisance. He does have a little bit of room to play around here, but double Adept Stargate. I like this kind of move. Now, obviously, he's not Zest. I don't really expect to see a ton of Void Rays, especially since BYUN isn't a Zerg player. And yes, that does mean I'm paying attention to the game. Of course, he isn't a Zerg player. But, I mean, the Stargate does kind of allow you a smooth transition as long as you can get a little bit done with the first Oracle. You can go up to Phoenix as well, which is pretty decent, because it does allow you to kind of slow down any sort of push involving siege tanks, which, I mean, BYUN has been doing a lot of in this series already. But it is very expensive early on. And it does mean that you kind of have to halt your unit production in order to effectively get this out. And there you can kind of see it. He's only been able to throw down one additional gateway off the back of this. And he's just pumping out Phoenix one at a time. Luckily, though, BYUN's kind of going for, once again, that Widow Mine drop style. So, you know, this has the potential to really keep Zoun safe and just make sure that he doesn't take a lot of damage in the early game, which is really, really important versus a Terran player. Because it's kind of on the a Terran player's head to get that early damage done. You need to get on top of the drone probe line, and you need to take down at least, I want to say, 8 to 10 probes to kind of remain even overall. Especially since Zoun has been liking to throw down that additional third base a lot quicker. So he's just very far ahead economically in most situations. And yeah, I mean, right now we see the Phoenix kind of just patrolling. They have to be careful. I think they do see that Widow Mine, though, just barely in the grass. It's really hard to see on this map. He's now taking the first big hit right there. Might actually fly over and lose one of those Phoenix. Just barely doesn't. But, I mean, from there, that's pretty big damage already. Like I said earlier, that was an expensive pick. That was an expensive thing to go for early on, and that's a good chunk of your army right now. BYUN not really going to be pushing out either. He's looking to be a little bit more defensive while he gets that third base up. Once he starts to push that over to its location, I think that's when we'll see him do his first big push. But the question is, has he really given Zoun too much time here? As we already see the third base up and running. He's got Colossus on the way, extended Thermal Lance, and we should be seeing at least one Forge being dropped soon for those upgrades as well. This is nice damage, but unfortunately he keeps not hitting the weakened one, so those Phoenix do live to see another day. Not going to be a very useful day, but I mean, you know, lifts can be pretty good. Yeah, here we go. That third base is complete, and this is really the time when BYUN wants to push in. Now, keep in mind, once again, we're gonna have a little bit of an upgrade lead here for BYUN right now. He's got that +1 attack. He's not going for anything else off the back of that, though. No armor, just siege tanks and marauders and Vikings. But he is going to be able to secure this location, it looks like. Zoun picking a couple of huge pot shots on a lot of his units there. One of those sentries almost full energy going down. The lift ups not in time. BYUN just focus fires them down, but the laser giraffes in the back still going to get some good damage done, but now they really don't have a buffer. So now BYUN has really secured this location, even though he won't get that bunker up. The Phoenix can't get on top of this, and BYUN's just going to dive right on top, get those Colossus falling down, and I think he has cleaned up this location, and GG is called. BYUN just absolutely on fire tonight. Getting up to a very quick 3-0 victory. So now we're going to be heading into Pillars of Gold for game number 4. If BYUN wins this one, he's going to be on match point. This is a best-of-9 series, and I'm actually quite excited with these games because I've seen quite a few PVTs go into a much later stage. So seeing these fast, aggressive games is so fun to watch. And I mean, yeah, BYUN just really on fire with this. Zoun looking to struggle a little bit. And I don't know how much of that is actually just him kind of hiding his power level for tomorrow, because there is a pretty good chance that these guys play against each other in the closed qualifiers for the last chance DreamHack winner finals. Yeah, I'd like to remind you guys as well that if you like what we're doing right here, go over to the chat and look at that Matcherino.com link. If you use that Matcherino code APS222, it adds a free 50 cents to the prize pool. These players will appreciate that. And speaking of the players, spawning up here in the top position of the map, he is Zoun. And his opponent down here in the bottom, it is BYUN. All right. So looks to be some very similar openings for both of these sides right now. Nexus going to be going down here soon. One thing to note is that I haven't seen BYUN go Hellions yet. You know, I've been seeing him do that a lot in a bunch of different matchups, especially on Pillars of Gold is where I've seen him do it the most, where he'll go for 2 to 4 Hellions. Off the back of it, he will get a couple of Widow Mines, about 2 to 3, and then he'll drop in the main base, and then at the same time he'll hit you in the front with the Hellions while your units are defending. So it's a very quick, easy way to get massive amounts of damage done if done correctly. But it does look like Zoun is actually going to be the aggressive one here. I'm thinking Stargate. It's going to be a couple seconds before that cybernetics core is done, so we'll have to see. Now, I do like this. BYUN has been scouting pretty well with these Reapers. Sometimes he does like to skip that just to get a little bit more firepower out, but it is indeed going to be Stargate. Does he see it? He just barely catches a glimpse of it. And I mean, from here, what can Zoun really do? This will go up, but I mean, at what cost? That was the most inopportune scout that Zoun was not hoping for there. All right, one of those Marines going down. The bunker will not finish up. A couple of SCVs actually having to be pulled to help deal with this. And yeah, Zoun is looking to do this Void Ray rush, but it's a little bit delayed now. And actually, never mind. It's not really that delayed since he was able to stop that bunker from coming up. It's BYUN who's in a lot of trouble right now. He does need to get these Cyclones out, but At the same time, Zoun actually has not thrown down his shield batteries just yet, so this Void Ray might be in a bit of trouble if the Cyclone can get on top of things. And look at that, he's actually going to try and save the supply depot as well. Not going to get it. The reactor going to go down as well. But I don't know what to think right now. Like, yes, the Void Ray still has the potential for a lot of damage, and BYUN is in a bit of trouble. But again, there's no shield battery, so Zoun not overcommitting to this, essentially. He's even got the Nexus behind it for the later stages. You see a Phoenix as well. That's going to stop the Magfield Accelerator lock-on for these Cyclones. Make it a little bit more dangerous for them to be out on the map. The Void Ray does not die. But yeah, it's pretty much just going to be up to these Cyclones right now. And I do think they can kind of stop this. Okay, they lost Magfield Accelerators though. Reaper actually went across the map and got a small kill right there while all of this was happening. Okay, so now BYUN has been stunted in his growth a little bit. He wasn't mining off his natural for the longest time, but he's still relatively even, actually. Like, Zoun didn't really get too much done with this, so I mean, it all comes down to can BYUN catch up in terms of those upgrades, in terms of getting that tech structure down. Looks like he's just going to go for a big 3-1, a 3-1-1 here. We should see when that starport gets thrown down, but Zoun not going to let him really think he's safe here as he's got a gateway already down. I'm loving Zoun in this game here. If you weren't a fan of him before, you've got to be a fan of these crazy shenanigans that he's pulling out. And I mean, okay, so BYUN hopefully will have stim by the time this engagement really truly gets underway. He won't really have that much healing potential though. Only just now starting that medevac production, so it's really going to be a dicey situation for him once again, but he does have roughly the same army supply. Taking a look at that, his income not really looking too bad there. The Adept's going to go down right away. The Phoenix trying to get a lift up on those siege tanks. They do get that down, but I mean, is there really enough for Zoun to push his way through? The Stalkers getting cleaned up. The Void Rays do fall as well. He gets about 5 workers there and has to blink on out. And I mean, BYUN took that engagement about as well as he could have. Even going to get a couple of more Stalkers there, Zoun. I mean, Zoun's just a little bit overextended right there. And now he can rotate around. And that's exactly what he's going to try and do here. He wants to find an angle where he can blink in, but he sees the missile turrets right there, so it's not going to be the best situation for him, although that's almost game-ending right there. He catches the medevac, a huge stock of BYUN is going to go down. Bit of an overextension there. Marauder's going to come out to do what they can. And actually, what they can do is a lot, but it's just not really enough. BYUN's going to get cleaned up right there, and it's going to come down to can he hold the next big push. And as I say that, he's actually way ahead in army supply. I didn't actually notice that. He's fine. I have no idea how this game has actually turned equalized here, or how we're even 8 minutes into it. Usually when you see what Zoun went for, it's over very quickly because you commit so much to it. So I got to give props to Zoun for that. He didn't really overcommit to it because he didn't really feel super confident in it after it got scouted. And, you know, it forced BYUN to play defensively for a little bit. So the question is it all worth it here? I mean, we do see Zoun going up to the 4th base. He's got a stalker hit squad just out roaming around trying to get those pickoffs on the small death squad of Marauders. Four Siege Tanks just very aggressively up in the front right there. BYUN gonna pick up, loses one of those medevacs with a couple of units in it. He's just gonna go straight for the main base, it looks like. Zoun's gonna have to warp in. But haha, it was all a ruse. And now BYUN is just gonna go on the retreat there. Now, I'm pretty curious. BYUN has plenty of siege tanks here. He's got a lot of bio and actually up almost 20 army supply right now. But only just now starting the Ghost Academy. He doesn't even have his 3rd base completely mining either, so I mean, all things considered, Zoun still has a couple of small advantages, and he's going to force field a lot of this army away. So he will be able to actually kill off that 3rd base potentially here. Looks like a lift up onto the high ground. Going to try and save it, but that does go down. And now that's pretty much meaning go time for BYUN right now. He knows that he has to go do equivalent damage, and he has to almost kill Zoun right now if he's going to make this game go any longer. Yeah, I mean, he does still have a pretty big army to do it. It's mostly stalkers. The zealots in the front gonna do what they can, but the siege tanks gonna get some good connections off. And I mean, Zoun's supply starting to plummet here, actually. A couple of SCVs being pulled up as well to help with the buffer. The siege tanks on the high ground. I mean, BYUN can kind of rotate around in this position, and I mean, with that amount of fire power, War Prism not even going to be able to drop on top of this. Zoun has unfortunately awakened the beast in this game with that last attack. The SCV is a little bit of a late pull, but still going to be there for the next fight. Shield battery popped a little bit too early. And I mean, now I'm really worried for Zoun here. Yeah, this is just not good for him. Look at that, the reinforcement, some additional SCVs. BYUN's pretty much all in off this 2-base right now. He knows that he has to win it. C-Tank's gonna get their fire off as well. The SCVs start to melt. The Archon's doing some good work in the front. A small Zealot run by in the back, as well as an Immortal, gonna do what it can, but there's just an overwhelming amount of Terran here, and BYUN gonna push his way forward as the last Immortal starts to fall. This is pretty much it. GG is called. BYUN going up to a very fast 4-0. He is on match point. Now, the way this works is that it is loser's choice for the map. So Zoun has been the one kind of choosing these maps. And I mean, there's a bunch of different ways you can kind of think about it. What map do I want to play? What map is your opponent weak on? What can you really do? And I mean, this is quite a different Zoun than you're kind of expecting. I mean, yeah, definitely not how I expected the series to go. I was expecting at least 7 to 8 games. He still has a good chance, though, you know. If he gets the all kill right now, he just needs to win the next 5. Let's see, hit that, get that set up. Good to go. And you know what, guys? For the potential last game, let's introduce this guy up here. Make sure you send him all your energy because we don't want this series to end. I know it for a fact. Spawning up here in the top position for Alpha X, he is Zoun. And his opponent down here in the bottom, looking to close things out as cleanly as possible. He is BYUN. I think right now is kind of the point where you kind of just have to go guns to the wall and pull out all the stops in an attempt to get back into this series. I would say it's best to kind of put things on the line because what do you really have to lose here as Zoun? Looks like right now he's not going to really switch things up. Neither is BYUN, essentially. We've got them going for pretty bog standard openings. So nothing really too much else to say about this early game. All right, so BYUN going to be going for the 1-1-1 once again. But this time there is a bit of a difference. He skipped the Reaper. He's probably expecting some sort of shenaniganry just by the way he's scouting very aggressively with this Marine. But Zoun is going to do a very conservative kind of proxy here with this Stargate. Now, the question is he going to go for Forge Race again? Based off this positioning, I don't think so. I think that would just kind of be very difficult to make work because of how far the reinforcements have to come for the defense, or rather for the offense. And, I mean, this is more suited to kind of just getting that first Oracle, maybe pumping out a couple of Phoenix to kind of fly around and harass, and then switch back into the Twilight Council Robo Bay. Alright. And I mean, BYUN's still very aggressively scouting. He needs to get on top of this if he wants to see it, but you know, it's just going to be an Oracle and into the Twilight Council, like I was kind of saying, based off the positioning here. It gets scouted, but at this point, it's not really the most important thing in the world, and I think it's a little bit of a waste here for Zoun to actually be chasing this down. You know, he's expending so much energy with this. Because that Oracle is not really going to be able to get too much done, and BYUN kind of knows it. And just take a look at this. He's just going to go for a big drop. Off the back of this as well, we got Banshees on the way. They're going to have Cloak Siege tank production is going to start here relatively soon. And I mean, really, what does Zoun have at home? Almost nothing. The Adepts very far out of position. So now Zoun, just seeing this for the first time, he might have to recall here if the Adepts aren't where they need to be. Already, 3 workers going down. The Stalker going to be enough to kind of push this away. If this was a BYUN stream, he would be entering in the chat a bunch of question marks there for that shield battery overcharge. The Hellion getting some really nice shots, some huge connections going down. The Oracle on the other side of the map going to get a couple of kills. But again, just take a look at this. BYUN is going to be rotating around these 2 locations. There's not really too much else to stop him. Shield battery is starting to run out of juice as well. I mean, from here, BYUN's just going to smell that blood in the water and keep on going. We've got 12 workers killed. The Banshee going to be able to kill quite a bit more as there's no shield battery at this natural. And I think, yeah, Zoun's just taking way too much damage in this game. He does have that 3rd base down early once again. But where's the detection? He has absolutely none, only just now getting that revelation. 20 workers. Just, ah, man, this is painful to watch. The problem is he can't really counterattack efficiently here. There's siege tanks everywhere. BYUN already getting his 3rd base up to try and stay even. He kills off the Banshee, which is nice, but that means less energy for a Revelation on the other side of the map to give him that high ground vision. Meaning that he's going to have to sacrifice a Stalker in order to attack up that ramp. I mean, from here, BYUN's just powering up. I don't want to sound like I'm highly favoring BYUN, but he's just got all the right moves, all the right positions right now in this game. Zoun just really playing catch up right now. Big revelation, going to take down some of those supply depots, which is nice. We see that Banshee coming in with no detection once again. So that is the 3rd base pretty much desaturated. And I mean, from here, Zoun's still trying to make this work. He's still trying to get the killing blow, but I mean, it's pure gateway at this point versus siege tanks, tons of marauders. Stim's going to be complete soon. 1-1. There's just not that much that he has with this. And as that 3rd base goes down for BYUN, he's going to be looking to push to kind of close things out, although he does overextend just a little bit here. A couple of those siege tanks get caught out. This is actually the best position that you can see for Zoun right now, actually. Oh my god, BYUN bobbled that a bit. So now, the SCV is being pulled to try and mitigate some of this damage. But, wow, actually. Yeah, that was about as bad as it could go for BYUN right now, but I think he actually does have enough to defend up here. He is losing quite a bit of his workers, but on the other side of the map, he's taking down even more probes with the Banshee coming back in. Not really that much to defend down there, so they're still relatively equal on that worker count. Yeah, BYUN still trying to fight down this ramp. I think that's still a bit of a risky proposition. He doesn't really have to because he does have his third base mining up. Never mind, the Oracle comes in to try and kill that off. Yeah, all things considered, this game is still relatively, like, still kind of even. Income advantage-wise, BYUN's still trying to take that base, but there is enough force field energy to keep that from going down, and he might lose it if he doesn't get the repair. Okay. So, when I said Zoun was looking dead at that stage, I thought he was. But now, I mean, after getting that snipe off, I don't think we're going to see BYUN being able to do the same thing as he's done before in the last game. We are going to see him get surrounded by the Zealots right there. They get some nice area of effect damage, but they start to fall. I think Zoun's starting to bobble it. Like, he just bobbled that attack a little bit, unfortunately. Like, he's ahead. BYUN not really mining that well. He's relying on those mules to stay in this. I mean, he's up a base. He's taking down the siege tanks as well, which is wonderful. He doesn't even really need to make these kind of engagements. It's really just not the best for him here. Even if he's trying to go fight for death by 1,000 cuts, I mean, BYUN's going to get some more damage done. Forces a recall, which is really nice. This is just a scrappy game overall. I'm loving this. We are actually 11 minutes into the game. Look at these army supplies. Look at the overall supply. 69 and 69. Nice. So, the big advantage Zoun has right now is that he does have that third base up and mining. That's really kind of the linchpin here for it. We are going to see, he's going to try and keep an eye on the army. We do see the Archon's going to be mixed in as well. And I mean, BYUN has to play it a bit more defensive right now. I feel like it's not really going to be in your best interest to move out. As Zoun is just going to keep whittling you down if you fight in these not really choke point positions. The Zealot's actually going to get taken down. The force field not really helping. What am I going to be cleaning up the Archon as well? And my goodness, BYUN, with every fiber of his being, just keeps holding on. And I mean, this is BYUN in a nutshell. When you think he's dead, he holds on for the longest amount of time. But it's got to be more about just holding on. He needs to get a little bit more damage across the map. He's got to do something before Zoun starts to overwhelm him economically. Yeah, we do have the Banshee getting a little bit of work done here. The Zealots fighting once again. The force fields not going to be enough, and actually he just taps out. He felt like he took way too much damage by that Banshee. I actually want to see that one up there. Oh. I just want to take a look at that Banshee real quick. That comes in as the fight is starting. And as soon as that starts to get damage done, he feels like his push in the front just not really doing too much. And yeah, there you go. That's how you get the